The stars that never fell. In a forgotten corner of the cosmos, where galaxies spun like dreams and time felt like a heartbeat, there existed a radiant planet called Lamera. Its skies shimmered with prismatic hues, and its oceans glowed with liquid starlight. Lamera wasn't just a place, it was a promise, a world where every being was born from light itself. The stronger your spirit, the fiercer your glow. But this brilliance came with a shadow. Every soul had to face the Black Star trial, a merciless wave of dark energy that swept through the planet once a year. Survive, and your light would burn brighter. Fail, and you'd be erased, swallowed into eternal darkness. In a quiet grove of glowing ferns, far from Lumra's dazzling cities, lived Ilya, a 12-year-old girl whose light was barely a whisper. Her faint glow flickered like a candle in a storm, so dim that even the softest breeze made it waver. The other children mocked her relentlessly, Ilya, the firefly. Too weak for the Black Star. You'll vanish before you even try. Their words stung, but Ilya carried a secret. Her grandmother, whose light had faded years ago, had left her a gift, a single, whispered truth. The truest light doesn't scream. It listens, and it dares to face the dark. Every night, Ilya climbed to the highest hill, where the stars felt close enough to touch. She'd lie on the shimmering grass, telling stories to the sky. I'm not weak, she'd whisper to the constellations. I'm just waiting. And waiting things can still spark. Her stories weren't just words, they were her rebellion, her way of stitching courage into her fragile glow. That year, the Black Star trial loomed larger than ever. The skies darkened weeks in advance, and an unnatural chill gripped Lamera. The planet's brightest heroes, warriors whose light could rival suns, prepared with pride. The king of Lamera, a towering figure whose radiance was said to blind, declared, "This trial will prove our eternal strength." But Ilya felt something the others didn't, a hum in the air, like the Black Star was watching. When the trial arrived, it was no mere wave, it was a tempest of darkness, a living void that roared across Lamera. The brightest lights faltered first. The warrior's radiance cracked like glass. The king's glow sputtered, his cries echoing as he faded into ash. One by one, Lumra's greatest fell, their brilliance no match for the Black Star's hunger. The planet trembled, its people hiding in despair. But one figure didn't hide. Ilya, with her barely there glow, stepped forward. She walked through the ruins of Lumra's pride, past the ashes of fallen heroes. Her light flickered, but her steps were steady. In the Valley of Echoes, where the air itself felt like a scream, a shadowy figure materialized, a fragment of the Black Star itself. Its voice was a blade of ice. "Why fight, little spark? Your light is nothing. You'll dissolve like the rest." Ilya's heart pounded, but she lifted her chin. "If I fade, I'll fade on my terms. The stars will remember a spark that chose to burn anyway." The shadow laughed, a sound that shook the valley. "Then face me, child." Ilya pressed on, her glow trembling but unbroken. She reached the heart of the Black Star, a swirling vortex of pure night. The air was heavy, suffocating, but Ilya didn't falter. She stood before the void, and for the first time, the Black Star spoke to her, not as a predator, but as something ancient, curious. "You don't fear me," it said, its voice softer now, like a question. Ilya's glow wavered, but her smile was fierce. "I'm terrified. But I've learned to walk with fear, not run from it." The Black Star paused, as if tasting her words. Then, in a moment that rewrote Lumra's history, it didn't devour her. Instead, it blossomed. The vortex unraveled into ribbons of shadow and starlight, pouring into Ilya. Her faint glow erupted into something new, not just light, but a cosmic flame, a radiance that pulsed with both light and dark. Ilya wasn't just a sun, she was a nebula, a creator of worlds. When Ilya returned, Lumera was transformed. The skies burned with new colors, and the oceans sang with hope. The Black Star trial was no more, replaced by a new truth. Strength wasn't in how brightly you shone, but in how fiercely you endured. Ilya, now a young woman with eyes that held galaxies, became a legend. Children, no matter how dim their light, chanted her name, I am Ilya's flame. I may flicker, but I will never break. Moral of the story. Courage isn't about being the brightest in the room, it's about burning when the world expects you to fade. A single spark, fueled by resilience, can light up the universe. Thanks for watching this video. Comments your thoughts. Please subscribe this channel.
Even without you, the rain tapped gently against the window panes of an old mansion in Kolkata. On the top floor, in a dimly lit study lined with books and echoes of old poems, sat Prithvi's son, India's most beloved yet mysterious writer. His books had touched millions, but his own heart bore a silence no reader could ever decode. He hadn't written in months, not since the date that returned every year like a shadow, March 12th, the day love had quietly slipped out of his life. 22 years ago, in the calm beauty of Santiniketan, where art whispered to the trees and poetry flowed like breeze, a young literature student named Prithvi met Vani. She was a painter, vibrant and wild like a monsoon morning. She laughed with abandon, painted like she was pouring her soul onto the canvas, and read books as if they were lovers' letters. They met under a banyan tree during a college cultural festival. She was painting the tree. He was scribbling a poem beside it. One curious glance, one shared laugh, and suddenly life began to rhyme. From chai stalls of poetry nights, they became inseparable. She would paint while he wrote. She would dream aloud, and he would shape those dreams into words. People called them soulmates, but they never gave a name. Maybe they didn't need to. Time passed. Prithvi got a scholarship to Oxford. He was hesitant, scared of losing Vani, but she, selfless and silent, encouraged him. Go, she smiled, hiding her own tears. Your words deserve the world. He left, promising to return. She waited, painting every day, writing unsent letters, counting stars. But distance is a cruel silence. Calls turned fewer, letters stopped. One day, the news came. Prithvi's debut novel had become a sensation in London, and yet Vani heard nothing from him. What she didn't know, Prithvi had written to her again and again, but her home had changed, and his letters never reached. What he didn't know, she still stood under that banyan tree every March 12th, waiting for someone who had never really left her heart. Years rolled by. Prithvi became a literary icon, but his books, though brilliant, always carried a quiet ache about an unnamed girl, a painter, a love lost in the winds of fate. One day, after winning a major award, he returned to Santiniketan. The banyan tree still stood, but no Vani. The town whispered. She left years ago to teach art in a small village near the hills. She never married. He searched, followed clues, traced her old paintings. Each one seemed to speak to him, of longing, of waiting, of unfinished love. But when he finally reached the village, he was too late. Vani had passed away just a month before. Cancer. She had kept it hidden, left quietly like she had lived. Among her belongings, they gave him a box. Inside, every letter he ever wrote, returned by fate, unopened, and her diary, filled with sketches of him, lines of his poems, and this final note. Even if you never come back, know this. Your words live inside me till my last breath. Even without you, I never stopped loving you. Now, every March 12th, Privy lights a candle under that banyan tree. He reads her diary aloud, as if she were listening. And maybe she is, because sometimes love doesn't end. It just becomes silence. And in that silence, it lives forever. Moral of the story: true love may part ways, but it never dies. Silence holds the loudest truths of the heart. Sometimes, life gives you only one chance. Don't wait to say how you feel. Love is not always about being together. Sometimes, it's about never forgetting. Would you like a Hindi version or a visual for this story too? If you enjoyed this story, comment your thoughts below. Like, share, and subscribe.